Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to build a powerful notes app using Django. With this course you can learn a lot about Django, you can learn about primary keys, foreign keys and a lot other stuff. So without wasting in time, let's start the video. This is going to be the final demo of the website. We have the home page and in there all the notes will be shown. There is a create note button, update remove and update remove for everyone. I will just try to create a new one, to create a new note, and when I refresh we go into the note to the page of that note, and then it is created in here. Then we can try to update the titles and the description. I will give updated underscore title. Also I will change the description. Now when I click on submit, the title and the description is changed. Now I will also remove the useless ones. I remove the two. Now I will go into the next page, into the note page, and in there all the chapters will be listed, and we have two icons, one is for the update and one is for the delete. I will create a new chapter and the number is given, so it is an ordered list. Now I will remove this one and I will try to update this one, updated, and it is updated, and this one is the chapter page, and we have three different plus icons. It's for different types of creating different types of boxes. When we click on this chapter list button, we get redirected to the chapter page, and when we click on this powerful notes, we get redirected to the home page. And we have a search functionality. I will just search for this one, SW. When I search, we just got that one. When I click on it, we redirected to this page. Now we have the first, and then I will try to create a new one, and the new one is created. I will try to create the other type of box and the other one, and you might have noticed that this one is having a fixed position. Then I will remove this. I can remove button also works. Now I will just update this and give it updated, submit, and it is changed. So everything is working fine, and this will be the final demo of the project. Now let's start. So first we will start by installing Django. You can install it using pip and using the command pip install Django. Because I have already installed it, in mine it is showing requirement already satisfied. Now after installing Django, we need to create a Django project, and it is done using Django admin's start project command. And then the next argument that we need to pass is the name of the project. So I will just give it a name of notes, and then the next step is creating an app inside the notes project. So first we need to get into that notes directory by cd notes, and then we create a an app using startup command of the manage.py. So python manage.py startup, and then the name of the app. I will just give it a name of app itself. Now in the folder we have an app folder and also a notes folder. We will set up, we need to enable our apps to work with the project, right? We need to set up our app. So to do that, in the installed app section of the settings.py, just add the name of the app. Because the name of my app is app itself, I am just passing app itself. Now go into the urls.py of the nodes, and then we need to include all the urls of our app, right? So import include from django.urls, and then create a new path with an empty string. That is, if we just go to the localhost / nothing, that is less localhost, we can access the apps urls. So now we need to include them, and then inside singular double quotes app.urls, because that's the name of my apps. Whatever the name of your app is, just put it in here. The name of my app is app itself, that's why I put app.urls. Now in the app folder, I will create a new file called urls.py. Now we will write all the urls in here in this file. So I will go into the urls.py of the project and copy everything and just paste it in the apps, and then just include just import the path from django.urls, and nothing else is needed. And I will remove this admin.site.urls and also this one. Now this is going to be the home URL. So it will be just an empty string. That is, if we just go into the localhost, we will get the home page. And then we need to assign it to a views.py function. So the name of the function will be just views.home. I mean the name of the function will be just home, because it's corresponding to the home page. and then I will also give it a name of home so that we can access this URL in the HTML files for redirecting purposes. Now there is an error in here because we are accessing the views without importing it. So we import it from dot import views. Now we can use the views.home function, but there is no function called home in the views.py, so we need to create that. Just go to the views.py and create a new function. The name of the function should be home because that's what we gave in the URL patterns. And then all the function based views should take in request as a parameter, and then we will return an HTML file. The first parameter for the render is request, so we need to always pass in request first, and then the name of the HTML file, which is home.html. We haven't created this HTML file yet, so we'll create it now. In the app folder, create a new folder called templates, because this is going to be the default location of how Django will search for the templates and all the folders. So in that, create a new file called base.html. Because we are for this project we will be using bootstrap CSS, because the reason why I am using that is because it will be much faster than normal CSS, and we can just copy a lot of code from the bootstrap website. So we'll be doing the bootstrap CSS setup in this base.html, and everything will be extended by it. In the templates folder, create a new file called navbar.html, which is for the navigation bar. We'll put the code for the navigation bar in here and include the navigation bar in the base.html, so that we can get the use the navigation bar in all the HTML pages. Now also create the home.html, because that is the one that our views.py is rendering for the home page. Now just go to your browser and search for getbootstrap.com, and into the documentation section, and go down into the quick start. Just copy this second one, which includes all the script tags, and then into the base.html and paste it in here. Now I will just remove this hello world. We have something like this. Also I will change the title into powerful notes, the title of the app. We also need to make some changes in here. I will create a new div and give it an ID of container, and then inside that a block content, create a block content, and also because we are creating a block content, we need to end the block. This is the reason why we are doing this, is because we are going to be extending all the other HTML files on this base.html. So this is how to do it. And now because we also want all the navigation bar to be shown on all the pages, we will include it. So just include and then the name of the file, which is navbar.html, and we need to put the percentage sign in the end also. With this, our base.html setup is done. Now go into the navbar.html. We will put a navigation bar code in here. Just go into the bootstrap website again and search for navbar. Now we will go down, and I will just copy this one because that's how I want it to be. Just copy and paste it in the navbar.html, and then I will change the title from navbar to powerful notes, and when we click on that, I want to redirect it to the home page itself. So in whatever pages we are in right now, when we click on that the powerful notes text on the navigation bar, we will be redirected to the home page. So just give an href tag for it, href into it, because it's an a tag, and then again a curly brace syntax with a percentage sign, because we are redirecting, put URL and then the name of the URL. The URL stored by the name of the URL is home. No, this is not what we want to pass, but this name. That's the reason why we gave it a name, even though it was not a necessary argument. So the name of the URL, and in the end also we will just put a percentage sign. Now with this we can redirect to the home page when we click on the powerful notes title. And then for this input, I will also give it a name of S. The reason why I am giving it a name is because using name only we can access the this certain input tag and use it in the views.py for the search functionality to work properly. So don't forget to give it a name. So I am just giving it a name of S because we will be accessing it based on the name of the input. So give it a name of S. Now with this nothing will be working because we haven't extended everything. I mean we haven't done anything in the home.html, and the home.html will be the file that is rendered while we are in the home page. So we will do that now. One thing that we need to do is we need to extend our base.html in here. So just call the extends base.html. Then we need to create a block content again. In all the files we need to create block content except the navigation bar block content and also end block, because if we are creating a block content or if statement or for loop anything in this HTML file using Django, then we need to end that all. Now I will also render just give out an hello world in here. Now if we come to the terminal and run it using python manage.py run server, and come in here and we have something like this. Now we have a navigation bar and also a home page set up properly. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create the node model. Just go to the models.py and we will be creating the models in here. Create a new class and then the name of our model is node, because we are going to create the node model. So just class node, and we need to pass in models.model because that's how we create Django models. And what all fields should our node model have? Should have a title, description, and also a field to store when the node is created. First we will create the title field, and obviously title is a set of letters or characters, so we use the character field, and the character field has a necessary argument which is the maximum length of characters, and I will just give it to 100 because nobody is going to use 100 and all. We are going to give it 100 because title is going to be very small, right? That's why we gave it a character field. Now we have description, and it will not be a character field but it will be a text field because we have more text to store in that. Now what if the user doesn't want to give it any text description? So we'll need to allow it also, right? So we said the null is equal to true and also the blank is equal to true. With this, even if we don't give anything as a description, the model will be created with an empty description column. So that is also settled. Now we will create another field for created at, and it will be a date time field. So this will be storing date and time, and the name of the field is created at. And what should we store? We should record the time at which we create the model. To do that, just use auto now add to true. If you want to record the time at which something is updated, like we will create new chapters and boxes inside the notes, right? When we do that, if you want the created at to be updated every now and then, just set the auto now to true. But we don't want that. We just want it to record the time at which we create the model. So we set auto now add to true. Now to apply the changes to the database, we need to make migrations. So just call the make migrations command of manage.py using python manage.py. Now we also need to migrate. Now after apply migration, a lot of migrations is applied and it's just for the first time. Now one thing I will do is I will go into the admin.py, and in here I will import our model. So from .models import node. Now what is there in the admin page? There is a page called admin page which is used by the developers or the super users only. So we can create a super user and log into the admin page, and then from there we can create models, delete models and all. So we are going to test our models using the admin page. To see our model in the admin page, we need to register it to the admin page. So for that we use the admin.site.register function and then pass in the name of the model. That's why we imported node model from .models. Just pass in the node. Now with this our admin registration will be done. Now in order to log into the admin page, we need to create a super user. So in the terminal python manage.py create super user, and then we need to pass in the username. Email address is not necessary, and give it some password, and now a super user is created. Now to log into the admin page, we need to obviously run the server. So python manage.py run server. Now come to the localhost slash admin. This is the URL for the admin page, and then the username and password, just put it in there and login. Now we have this is what the admin page looks like. And then we in the under this app note section we have a notes model. Just click on that and I will add a new note. I will just give a title of first note and some random description, and also I will create another note. And now as you can see, it is showing here note object 1, note object 2, but this doesn't give much idea on which note it represents. So what we can do is we can just print the title of the, we can just show the title of the note in here, right? To fix that, just come into the models.py and create a function. Inside the note model, create a function called str, and then in here we will return whatever we want to be shown in there. So we will return, for this case we will return the title of the model. So instead of note object 1, we want it to show the title of the model. Now after writing this, we need not apply the migrations because it's just a small change. We are not adding any field or making some changes to the field, so we need not apply the migrations. Now just reload it and we have the titles shown in here. Okay, now we have also created the models. Now we need to show our models in our home page, right? Or show our note models in our home page, right? So first we will go into the Bootstrap website and search for cards, and then in the title, text and links section, I will just copy the first one and paste it in here. Now we need to make some changes to it, I mean a lot of changes to it. We need to pass in the notes, all the notes object into our HTML file, right? So we do it in the views.py. First we need to import the note model. From dot models import note, and then we get all the note objects. How do we get that? We create a variable called notes and set it to note model dot objects dot all. This will get all the objects of the note model, and we also want it to order by some certain criteria. We want the latest created models to be shown first, so we use we put dot order by on the objects dot all, and then pass in the criteria, which is slash created, I mean hyphen created underscore at. Now the latest created model will be shown first. Now we need to send the variable into the home.html. We create a dictionary type syntax, and then inside that the first we need to pass in the notes again. This is how we will access the this notes variable in the HTML. So put it inside a string and then the actual variable, which is notes. So with this we send the notes variable into the HTML file called home.html. Now we will loop through all the notes. So for note in notes, and because we are using a for loop, we need to end the for loop also. So end for. Okay, this is how to end the for loop. Now let's try, is there any change in the home page? Let's check. Now we have two cards shown here because we have totally two models in the two note models. Now we want to make some changes. We don't want the subtitle and these two links, but in here we want to show the title of the note, and in here the description of the note, and under it when it is created. Also we want a card in here, then a card in here, then a card in here, and just fill horizontally first and then vertically, right? So we will do that also. So what we'll do is we'll wrap everything inside a div. Just create a div with a class of dflex, that is display flex, and then flex wrap. Also I will just give it okay, I'm not giving anything. Put this just enclose everything inside this flex wrap div. Okay, everything is enclosed within the div. Now I will just remove this card subtitle and these two links, I mean only one of the links I will remove for now, and then in here instead of the card title we will give note dot title, and in here instead of the some random text we will give note dot description. So with this we gave note dot description, and in for the a tag I'll just change this from an a tag to a p tag, just a paragraph to represent the created at field. So in here we put the value of note dot created underscore at. Now let's come in here and refresh it, and we have something like this. Now we want to give some margin on the sides and all the sides, and also the all the sides. So we create a custom HTML style tag in here. Create a style tag in here, and then I will give this div card an ID of something like main card, and then we'll give it some styling. Main card, what we'll give is we'll give it a margin of 20 pixel, margin of 20 pixel px. Now when we refresh it, we have something looking good. One more change that I'm going to make is I'm going to change this card body into an a tag. Because we are using the same bootstrap class, no change will happen in the appearance. I mean, only a small change, a line is there underneath. What we have to do is we'll just have to remove the text declaration. So just access the a tag and set the text declaration to none, and if we refresh it now, we have the same exact thing. Now the reason why I gave it an a tag in here is because we will be redirecting to a certain notes page when we click on the card. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create the chapter model. So in the models.py, create a new class called chapter, and again we need to pass in models.model. Now our chapter model, we want our chapter model to come under certain note model. Now the way we do that is we create a field called foreign key and set it to the note model. So with this we can specify while creating the chapter model, we can specify to which note model we want this chapter model to go under. That is the chapter model will be under certain note model. So we create a field called a note, and it will be a foreign key field, and then the first argument is the which model we want the foreign key parent to be. So in this case it's the note model. And what should we do when we create the note delete the note model? If a certain chapter is existing under a certain note model, and if we delete that note model, what should we do to the chapter model? We'll just delete that chapter model. So for that, what we do is we set the on delete parameter to models.cascade. With this, when we delete the note model, all the chapter models that come under it will also be deleted. Now all the chapters will contain a title also, so we create a title field, and it will be character field obviously, and I'll just give it a max length of 100 again this case. Now because we don't want to show like chapter object 1, chapter object 2 in the admin page, we'll create the str function also, and return what? We'll just return an f string of self dot title in self dot note dot title. So self dot title in self dot note dot title. That is, it will be of the form, if the title is first chapter, and then the title of the note is first note, then first chapter in first note, that will be shown in the admin page. Now we will also register the model in the admin page. So along with importing the model, the note model, import the chapter model also, and then register it to the admin site. Now our registration is also done. Now because we created a new model, we need to make the migrations. So python manage.py make migrations and also migrate. Now we will run the server, and I will go into the admin page and check whether it works, and we have chapters model in here. I will add a new chapter, and we can specify to which note we want the chapter to go under. I will add one more chapter in the first note itself. We have two chapters in the first note right now. I will change the name of this one to first. So one of the chapters name is changed to first. and we can successfully create the chapters model also. The next thing that we need to do is we need to show we need a separate page to list all the chapters, and so that means we need a separate page to for every nodes. In this case we just have two nodes, so we will have two URLs, but we just need to create one. It will automatically be done. So in here we create a new path, and it will be note/str title. So when we go into a localhost / note / the title of a note, then we get the page of that certain note. And the views function will give it a name of note, and then also I'll just give it a name of note. Now go to the views.py and create the note function. You need to pass in request, and also we get a certain note. Okay, and because in here we have a primary key of string value of the title, we need to pass in the title along with the request. Now we get the certain node model with this specific title. To get that node model, we have already imported the node. Now we create a variable called node and set it to get object or 404. First we need to import it from Django shortcuts get object or 404. So we call the get object or 404, and then the node model will be passed in, and what should we filter it out with the title. So if the node model with this certain title that we pass in to the node function is available, then we get that. So we set it to node. If it is not available, then a 404 error, HTTP 404 error will be shown, and then we get all the chapters under that specific node using note.chapters_set.all. This will give the set of all the chapters that come under this specific node. This chapter_set is only available because in the model.py we have, for this chapter we have a foreign key of note. That is one of the advantage of using that. Now we will render an HTML file. Obviously we need to pass in request first, and then the name of the HTML file, which is note.html. We haven't yet created it, but we'll create it. Now we need to send some variables to the note.html. One of them will be the note. So the note model will be sent into the note.html. Also we need to send the all the chapters into the note.html. So we'll send a variable called chapters into the note.html. Now in the templates, create a new file called note.html. Okay, now we create a new one, and then I will copy everything from home.html and remove everything except the end block and block content. This is the starting code that every HTML file will have from now on. Okay. Now go to the Bootstrap website and search for cards again, and go into the using utilities section, and I will just copy the first one. And paste it in here. I will need to make some changes for this one. I will create a new class outside everything, a new div, and give it a class of container. Just give it a class of container, either class or div, nothing, id, nothing, doesn't change. Okay, we give it a class of container, and then again we create I'll just change this card's width 75, remove that tag, and also I want it to have a dark background, so I just give it a dark bg and set it to dark. Also I will just give it an ID of card in container, because we will be giving some CSS also, custom CSS also. And then what should we change next? We will change this card.title to note.title, the title of the note model that we pass in the from the views.py. Okay, note.title, and then the card text will show not some random gibberish, but it should show the description of the note. So note.description, and then we don't want a button in here, so I will remove that a tag. Now let's check the result as of now. just going to the node homepage slash node slash the, and this is what it is showing. It is showing an empty, nothing is shown. The reason is because our text is also black in color and also our background is also black in color. So we make some changes to the class of the h5 and p tag. We set the text to light, that means a light white color will be shown for the text. So the text will be white color, and then when we refresh it we have something like this. It is because we haven't gave our custom css, so we will give that now. We will come in here and create the style tag, and one of the class that we need to give custom css is for the style, the container div. So just access the class using dot container, and then we set the display to flex direction to column, then align items to center everything, then justify content also to center, and we'll also give it some margin on the top to something like a 10 pixel. With this everything will be centered, and also there will be a margin of 10 pixel on top. But we need to give a small styling to the card in container also, because it is an id, use the hashtag and then the id that we gave, which is card in container. And because we want everything to be aligned center horizontally, we set align items to center, and we don't want it to be completely have the complete width, so width will be set to 50%, and also margin will be set to 0 auto. Now if we come here and refresh it, we have a much better looking type card. One more thing that I forgot to do is, for both of these items I will just give a style in here itself and set the text align to center. For this p tag also I will give a style in here itself, text align to center. Now if we come here and refresh it, we have much better looking one. Now we will also list all the chapters of this certain note in here. So just go to the Bootstrap website again and into the card again, and go down into the list group section, and just list group section, where is it? Yeah, and just copy, I will just copy this second one from the list groups. Just copy that and go down and paste it in here. Now I will enclose this also inside a container, inside the same container class, another container class but with the same class name, container div but with the same class name, so that we need not write the style html style css style again. That's why I am using the same class name for the div. And then I want it to have a light blue background color, so bg will be set to info, and then the card header will not be featured but the chapters, so as this represent the chapters list, so I will give it a chapters. And then we want it to be ordered list, numbered list we can say, so we'll just change it to ol, that is for ordered list, change both. And then instead of list group flush, list group numbered, that's the css class, Bootstrap css class. And then only one of these items is required, because we are going to loop through all our chapters. So in here create a for loop using the curly braces syntax for chapter in chapters, because we are passing in the chapters variable from the views.py, and then we need to end the for loop also, because we are using for loop in HTML using Django. Okay, and then I will put this second item, I will just remove that. Inside in here I will create an a tag, because later we will be redirecting using this, and in here I will put the title of the chapter that we get while looping, chapter.title. With this we will have a list of chapters shown. Let's check whether it works fine. So when we come in here and refresh, we have something like this. Now when we click on this certain node, we want to redirect to that node URL, right? So how we do that? We'll come into the home.html, and in here, that's why I gave the card body an a tag. We put a href in here, and then because we are redirecting, use URL and then the name of the URL, which is, when we come to the urls.py, it's note. Just copy that into the and come into the home.html and paste in here. Now what is the primary key? It's only the title, so we need to Also pass in after outside this single quote we pass in note dot title, and then in the end the percentage sign. With this we can redirect to the page. Just come in here, refresh it, click on it, and we are redirecting to the chapters page respectively, I mean the note page. Now we will create the box model. So go to the models.py and create a new class, and as it is the box model we will name it box itself, and again we need to pass in models.model. And what all fields should our model have, should our box model have? It should have a title, and also there should be a content field where we just put in the content. And as you have seen in the demo, we have three types of boxes. For one of them is for the instruction, then for the code, and also code explanation. So there are three types of boxes. And how do we do that? Will we have to create three different models for each of the boxes? No, we have some other ways, like we'll be giving a new field called box type, and it will be a character field itself. In that we just have three choices to take from. One of them will be the instructions, one of them will be the code, and one of them will be the explanation. So first we will create a variable called box types, and then it will be a tuple, and inside that tuple there will be another tuple. And what is the first type of box? It's the instruction. First we pass in instruction, and that is how it will be stored in the database. And then we need to give it a human readable label, so it is instructions box, that is the human readable label. Then we have code, which is the second box, and then it will be the code box. And also we have the explanation box, code explanation box. So we have three boxes created in the box types variable. Now we want the boxes to come under certain chapters, and then we know that the chapters come under certain notes. So we will create two foreign key fields, one for the note and one for the chapter. So note will be equal to models.foreign key, and then the model is note. And when we delete the any of the note models, we want to delete all the boxes that come under it. So we set models.cascade to models.cascade on delete to models.cascade. Similarly, we want the chapter model also, again a foreign key, but this time we pass in chapter. And when we delete the chapter, we want to delete all the boxes that come under it. So we set models.cascade. Still, I don't think this note model note foreign key is not that required, but I am just doing if some error comes. Now we will have a character field of box type, and then the maximum length can be set to 20 itself, because in none of these, in instructions or code explanation, there are not even 20 characters or letters. So we can just give it 20, and then the only choices that the user can choose from are instruction, code, or explanation. So we set the choices parameter to the box types. Nothing else can be chosen. Now we will have a title for the note, and it will be a character field obviously, and the maximum length we can just give it, set it to 100. And for every note box, the content is necessary, else why would somebody create a note without having any content, just for the heading? So content will be a text field, and then we will not be setting the null or blank to true because it is a necessary field. And then in the admin page, we don't want to show box object 1, box object 2. We want to show some we want it to be self explanatory. So we return an f string, and then what we return self dot get underscore box underscore type box type display, and it will be in self dot chapter dot title of the chapter, that is the foreign key, and of which note the chapter comes under. So self dot note dot title. This is what is going to be shown in the admin page. Now going to the admin page, and we will register it in here. Import the box model along with all the chapter and note, and then register it to the admin site using admin.site.register, and pass in the name of the model, which is box. Now we will need to make migrations, because we are making changes to the database. We will also migrate, then we will run the server. Now this is what we have. Now I will just go into the admin page and try to create some models of the box models. I'll add a new box. I'm going to create three boxes in the same one, all the three types of boxes. Now we have totally three boxes. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to show our boxes on the page. So first we will go into the urls.py and create a URL. Okay, just go to the urls.py and we'll create a new URL, and it will be node slash, then we have the title of the node. So it will be coming inside a certain nodes page, the which node the chapter belongs to, and then it's going to be the chapter page, because in the chapter we are going to show the different boxes of that certain chapter, right? So for this we will have two primary keys, the title of the node and also the title of the chapter. Now the views function that we are attaching it to is the chapter function, which we will create, and then we will just give it a name of chapter itself. Now go into views.py and we will create the chapter function, and this time because we have two primary keys, we need to pass in the title and also the chapter, because those two are the two primary keys. Okay, now we will get the node with that specific title that we pass in. We will use the get object or 404 function, and it's the node model. So first we pass in the node, and also we want to filter it using the title. So title will be equal to title. We get the node with that specific title. Then we want to get the instance of the chapter also. The reason why I am passing chapter underscore instance instead of just chapter is because chapter is an argument in here. That's why, just so that we can distinguish properly. And then we get the object or 404, and it is a chapter model. Then we have to pass in two items, to which node it belongs to. It is to the node variable itself, and then the title of the node. The title of the node is chapter that we pass in with the URL. And then we get all the boxes that come under this chapter instance using chapter instance dot box underscore set dot all. This will get all the boxes that come under this chapter instance, just like we get all the chapters that come under this specific node in the node function. So we get all the boxes, and then we need to render an HTML file. So we return render, and then first we need to pass in request, and then the name of the HTML file, which will be chapter.html. Then we will send all these three variables into the HTML file using a dictionary syntax. Then first the inside a string we will pass in the node variable, then we will pass in the chapter variable. I'm just putting chapter in here so that it is easier to just use the word chapter instead of chapter instance in the HTML file. So we send the chapter instance as the chapter, and then we will also send the boxes, all the boxes, box set. Now we send all of these to the HTML file, but there is no HTML file as of now, so we need to create that in the templates folder. So create a new file, chapter.html, in the templates, and then we need to extend on our base.html. So extends base.html, and also we need to create a block content. Because we are creating one, we need to end the block also. Okay, now this is done. Now we will go into the Bootstrap website and search for cards. Go down into this list header and footer section, and then I'll just copy the first one itself and paste in here. What the heck is this? Okay, now we'll just copy this one, the first one, and paste it over here, and let's check whether it's showing properly. Obviously, node slash first. Okay, now we have a page something like this in here. We want to make some changes to this, not some, many changes are to be made. So we loop through all of our boxes. So for box in boxes, and then because we are using a loop, we need to end that loop. End loop. Here we end the loop. I mean, it's not end loop. I don't know what's going through my mind. It's end for, because we are using a for loop. Then we will create an if statement to check the type of the note, check the type of the box. If it is a instruction box, then we will give it like a light blue color. If it is a code box, then we will give it like a green color, and if it is an explanation box, then we will give it like a color of red. So we will create an if statement in here. If box dot type is equal to instructions. Now it should be whatever you gave in the first, so it's instruction that we gave in here, so it should be instruction and not instructions. So just pass in instruction, and then we need to put this percentage sign in here, and then I will just make some changes to this one. I will give this card a border color of light blue, which is info, and also an MB3. Then I will give it a small styling of margin of 10 pixel. So 10 pixel margin will be there on all sides. Then we have this class header. I will give it the text in this header to be in white color. So text light, it should be inside this class itself. Text light, this will give it a light color, white color for the text. And also I will change its background to a light blue color, which is info. Then in here I want to show the title of the box, of that specific box. And then inside the card body I will give it the text in black color, so text will be dark. Okay, now there will be a black text, the text color will be black. Now I will remove everything except this p tag inside this, and then it's a card text itself. I will change this, remove this text and put the content of the box in the box.content. Also I will just give a small styling for this text. I will set a white space to pre-wrap. This will allow us to take a new line when we click on enter. Otherwise it will not take new line unless the line is completely filled. That's why we gave white space and set it to pre-wrap. Now let's check what it is showing. Okay, now there is a problem in here. It's because we are using an if statement and we are not ending the if statement. So we call the end if also, and then when we refresh we don't have anything. We'll just copy this and paste, and this time it will be code. Also I'll copy it. Okay, I'll make some changes first in here. I'll change this border info to border success, which is light green. Light green will be the border. Then I don't want this bg to be info in here also, it will be success itself. Again light green for in there also. Then because it is a code one, I will just change this p tag to a code tag, and then I will change this class to code hyphen line, so code line. Then what should we change next? We need to create one more. I'll just copy that and paste, and this time it is explanation, and then this time we will give it a background color of red, so beige will be set to danger, and also the border color also set to danger. For this time I just want the p tag itself. I will change this class to card text itself, and this one will also be changed to p tag. Now let's check what is the result right now. When we refresh it, there is a problem because it should be elif, which is else if and not if. So just change if of the code and explanation to elif. Now when we refresh it, we don't have nothing. Dot box underscore type, not just box dot type. So box underscore type. We'll change everything to from box dot type to box underscore type. While creating the model, we should have just given it type. I think it would have been better. Okay, now we have something like this, which is a very good looking one. We have 3 different colors for all the different types of boxes, and for the code one we have some other type of text, which is also what we wanted. I I'll just give it some more, just make some small changes, that not changes in this. We want to redirect when we click on the certain chapters, right? So we'll just implement that now. We'll go into the note.html, and in here in this a tag we will give it an href, that is we are going to navigate, and the name of the URL is chapter. So we give the name of the URL chapter, and then the chapter we need to pass in 2 primary keys. One of them is the notes title. So title will be equal to chapter.note.title, because for the chapter model, note model is a primary key, so a foreign key. So we can access this note and its title using like this. And then one of the other primary key for this chapter URL is the chapter title itself. So chapter will be equal to chapter.title. Okay, with this we can redirect easily, and when we click on those, and because we gave it a href tag, href for this a tag, the color, I will just show you, I will just demonstrate. When we refresh it, we have lines under this because it is an a tag. So we don't want line under this, and also this color is not so good looking. So I will just access that a tag, every a tags, and set the text decoration to none. This means the line will be removed, the underlining will be removed, and also I will just give it a color of light coral. Now if I refresh, click on this first, we have all the three nodes showing. Now we will deal with creating the nodes, chapters and boxes. First we will create the note. So create a new path in the urls.py for the for creating the nodes, and I will just give create note, and we will assign it to the views function create underscore note, which we haven't yet created. Also I will give it a name of create note itself. Now I will go to the home.html and copy this main div and paste on top. I will remove everything inside it and create a new div, and I will just give it a style of width, I will set to 18 rem. Then inside that I will create a button, which is the create note button. So create a button, then I will just give it an id of create note button, and also a primary color, which is a dark blue. I will give it a color of dark blue. We are using bootstrap classes so that it's a bit good looking button. Also I will call a JavaScript function when we click on the button, which is create note, which will create in the same file itself. And what should be the label on the button? We'll just give it create note itself. Now we will give styling to this create note button. We will access that id using the hashtag. We will access the button using the id create note button, and I will just give it a margin of 20 pixel. Now I will go down and create a new form in here. On the bottom I will create a new form, and its method will obviously be a post method, and then I will just give it an id of create note container. So a new form will be created so that we can fill in the title and also the description for creating the note. So this form will only be visible when we click on this create note button. That's why I just gave a JavaScript function as on click, so that we can create and make new input and text area inside that form when we click on that button. And I will give it an action of the create note URL that we just created in the views.py, urls.py, and with this everything is done. But one thing that we need to do for every form in Django is CSRF token, CSRF_token, for security purposes. Now we will create the JavaScript function. So on the bottom I will create a script tag, and inside that I will create a variable called done. So let done is equal to false, and this done will be set to false whenever we click on this create note button. At that moment this done variable will be set to true. Now first initially we set it to false, then we create the create note function, and then we need not pass in anything. Now we will check if not done. If done is equal to false, only then only we will create the input and text area inside this form. Otherwise we can just click on this create note button again and again, and new forms will be created, which is not ideal. So we just want one form on the screen at a time. So when the creation is complete, then it will be set to true. Okay, now we create a new input for the title. So I'll just give it a variable name of title input, and we'll create a new element called input document.create element. And what type of element it is an input element. Then we'll give some attributes to this one. Title input, we'll give an attribute for this. What attribute? We will set its name to note title, note underscore title. It should not be a colon here, it should be a comma. So we give the name of the title input node title so that we can access it in Django in the views.py. Then I will just give it another attribute of class title input dot set attribute. I will give it a class of bootstrap CSS class and form control, which is a good looking form class. Then I will give another attribute and it will be the type. What type of input are we taking? We are taking the text type of input, so I will give that also. Type I will set to text. Then I will give it some ID, I think. Okay, I am not giving any ID right now. Okay, now we will get the this form and put this new title input inside this form. So we get the document dot get element by ID. We get the element by ID, and what's the ID of the form? It's the create node container. So we get that container and we append to it this new input. We put inside it this new input, append child. We append, then I will append the title input to it. Now I will just copy this for the text area and I will just make some small changes, copy and paste it in there, and this time it will be description input, description of the node, and it will not be, we are going to create an input, we are going to create a text area. And I will just change this description input. What I will do is I will control shift P, I will click all control shift and P at the same time and search for column selection mode, toggle column selection mode, and I will select these two lines and then remove that and description input. With this we can access both of them together, and then control shift B again and click on that, click on enter, and it will be removed. Toggle selection mode will be removed. Now the name will be not node title but node description. The class will be form control itself. Then we will remove this type attribute, but instead we will give the number of rows. We want more than one rows. I think by default it is just one row. We want 10 rows, and also we want more columns. So we will just take in description input dot set attribute, and this time we will call calls, that is columns, and set it to 50 columns. So 50 columns and 10 rows will be present, and then we will append it to the create node container itself, but this time we will append the description input. Now we want to create a submit button also. I will just create that by hand. So submit button will be document dot create element itself. And what type of element are we creating? We are creating a button, and the type of the button will be submit, because that's how we do it in forms. Submit button dot set attribute, and I will set the type to submit. Then I will give it a label of submit itself. How we do that? Submit button dot inner HTML. I will set the inner HTML to submit. That is, the label on the button will be submit. Then I think I need to give some styling for the button, or if we need, we will give it afterwards. So submit button dot ID will be set to, okay, we'll give it an ID of submit button. I think we will be styling it submit button, and also we will give it a class, submit button dot set attribute class. I will give it a class of button primary, that is a dark blue color button, which is a bootstrap class. And then I will copy this and add it to the create node container. This time we will be appending submit button, and then in the end we will set done to true. We are setting done to true. Now we will give it a little bit of styling also. I think we have given everything. We haven't given anything. We have given a styling for the create node button. We want to give it for the create node container. Create node container, and then I will just give it a margin of 20 pixels on all the sides. Also I don't want it to be 100% in width, so I'll just give it a width of 50%. Now we need to create the views function for this one. So I will go into the views.py, and what's the name of the views function? It's create underscore node. So I'll create a new function called create underscore node, and we only need to pass in the request, and we want to check if the request method is post, because we are posting to the database, right? So if request method is post, then only we will be doing this. We will get the node title which is from this input. And what's the name of this input? The name of this input is node underscore title. So we access that. Node underscore title is equal to request dot post, and then inside like this we will pass in the name node underscore title itself. Then we get the node description also, similarly using the name, and the name of this one is node underscore description. And then if node title and node description exists, if that exists only, we will do the further steps. We will check if there is an existing node with the same title. So existing underscore node is equal to, we will get all the objects from the nodes database, and we will filter it. Node subject dot filter it with what? We will filter if there is a node with the title of node underscore title, then we will just give it, we will assign it to the existing node variable. If it is existing, if existing node is present, then we will return redirect to the home. We will redirect to the home page itself without creating the new node. So we will redirect to the home page. If it doesn't exist, that is if there is no node with that same title, then we will create a new node object. So node will be set to node dot objects dot create. Will create a new node, and with we should give the fields also. We'll give the title to the title of the node to the node title, then description of the node to node underscore description, and I think that's all we need to give. And then we save it to the database, node dot save, and then if everything works fine, we will redirect to that specific node page that we just created. We will go into the node page, and then the primary key is title. So we will go into the title of this certain node, this just created node. And if the request method is not post, then we will again redirect to the home page itself. Now let's check if it works fine. So there is an error, I forgot to put a comma in the end, and now I think the error is fixed. Just go to the browser and search for it, and we have a create node button. Let's check if it works fine. When I click on it, there is no good styling in here. We wanted to have margins underneath all of this, but let's check if it works fine. I'm creating a new node with this as the title and this as the description, and when we create, we are redirecting to that nodes page, and also it is created in here. The only thing that we need to do is give a little bit of styling in here. So we'll just go into the home.html itself, and I will give this one this title in okay, I will just give it a margin for this description input, margin top and also margin bottom. So description input, I will give it an ID of description hyphen note itself. I mean it's input, right? Description hyphen input. I will copy that and come into the style section, copy that, and I will give it a margin top of 10 pixels, and also margin bottom of 10 pixels. Now when we refresh it and click on this create node, we have something much better looking. Now the next thing that we are going to create is the chapters. So I will go into the urls.py and create a new URL for the chapter. It will be create chapter, and the views function will be create underscore chapter. I will give it a name of create chapter itself. Now I will go into the note.html. I will create a div in here, and then give it an ID of button div, button hyphen div, and then inside that I will create a button and give it a class of primary itself. So it will be a dark blue button, and it will be a good looking one because we are using bootstrap CSS. And when we click on that, I will call the create chapter function of JavaScript itself, and then I will give it a label of create chapter. Then I'll just give it a symbol styling for this one. I'll go on top into the CSS and access the button div and give it a margin of 10 pixel, just margin top of 10 pixels, because it will be centered horizontally, because we are under this container class which is given a styling which will center everything. So this one will also be centered, but we are giving it a margin top of 10 pixels. So under the list after 10 pixels this button will come. Now we need to create a form also, because we want to give some details. We want to give the details of the title of the note. So we create a form in here, and then the method is post, and I will just give it an ID of create chapter container, and the action will be the create chapter URL, passing create chapter, because that's the name that we gave. Now we want to also do the CSRF token in here also, CSRF underscore token, and then I will create a hidden input in here. And what this hidden input will store, it will store the title of the note. So we are setting the type to hidden. Set the type to hidden, so that we need not access it and do anything in it, but everything will be done on its own. And I will give it a title of note underscore title. I think is already taken, but let's just do it itself, it doesn't matter. And then I will give it a value of note dot title. So the title of the note will be already passed into this input. The reason why we are doing that is because to create a chapter we want the note object also, we want to get the note object, then only we can create a chapter. So to do that we will use the title of the note to get the note object. And then we have created the note. Now we will create the JavaScript function. Again we will use the script tag, and I will just go into the home.html and just copy this fully, and we will make some changes to it, paste it in this node.html. Now let me check what all changes we have to make. I will just make the indentation correct, it doesn't matter in JavaScript, but I am just making it. Let then will only be false, but the name of the function will be create chapter. And then if not done, we will create a new title input. Only title input is required because there is no description for the chapter. So I will delete the second one. Now what all should we do? It's the chapter title, chapter underscore title. That will be the name, note underscore title, and then it will be in the create chapter container, create note container, and we are appending it to the create chapter container. What we are appending? We are appending the title input. Now we want to make, I think we don't want to make any changes to the button except this. We will append it to the create chapter container. Okay, now we will give it some styling also, HTML styling also. I will give I think we haven't given the styling for anything. We will give the styling for the create note container, create chapter container. In here I will access the create chapter container using the ID, and this time also I will give a margin of 20 pixel and also set the width to 50%. Now we want to give the styling to the submit button also. So I will go into the home.html and copy the styling for this. I think we haven't given the styling for that. So I'll just come in here and give the styling for the submit button. Submit button, I will give it a margin top of 10 pixels. Let me check it. Okay, it's submit button itself. Now we want to create the views function. The name of the function is create underscore chapter. So define create underscore chapter, and we need to pass in only request. Then again we want to check if the request method is post. If request dot method is equal to post, if it is post, then what we'll do, we'll get the chapter title using the input tag. So chapter title will be equal to request dot post, and then what did we give the name for the input that will take the title of the chapter? It was chapter underscore title itself, and then we want to get the note underscore title from the hidden input that we gave to the form, and we gave it a name of note underscore title itself. And then if both of them exists, if no title and chapter title, if both of them exists, if both of them are not empty, then we will get an object, get the note object. Note will be equal to get object or 404, and we want to get a note object, so we pass in note as the first argument, and then with what we want to filter it out. We want to filter it out by checking if the title is equal to note underscore title. If we are getting the note with the specified note underscore title. If we get the note, then only we can create a chapter. Now we check if there is an existing chapter with the same name in the same note. So we use the chapter model. We'll filter it out using chapter dot objects dot filter. What we'll filter? We'll filter if there is a note if there is a chapter in the same note with the same title, chapter underscore title. If that is the case, then we will just redirect to the home page or note page itself. If that is the case, if existing chapter, then what we'll do, we'll redirect to what? To the chapter page, of the existing one. Title will be equal to note underscore title, and then the chapter will be equal to chapter underscore title. We'll redirect to that existing chapters page, and if it doesn't exist, then what we'll do, we'll create a new chapter. Chapter will be equal to chapter dot objects dot create. We are creating a new chapter object with what all fields. We need to give the fields also. The note will be the note itself, and then the title will be equal to the chapter underscore title. So we are creating a chapter. Because we are creating one in the views.py, we need to also call the chapter dot save to save it to the database. Then we will redirect to the newly created note page. We'll give the title as note underscore title. We are redirecting to the note page. Now if nothing happens, if the request method is not post, then we will redirect to the note page again, to the note page itself, with the title primary key as note underscore title. Now let me check if it works or not. We will go into the to the page and refresh, and there is an error, and the error is we have again forgot to put the comma. The reason is because we put the searched underneath, and when we refresh and go into this one, we have a button to create the note, and then something is not good. It's not very good looking, but we'll just create one, and there is an error. There is a problem when we access it. We have some typo. It should be note underscore title, and when I refresh it and create a new chapter, new one is created. But we want to make some small changes to the styling also. You can just give it a width of 100% itself. So I will come in here, create chapter container, and remove this one. I will remove this styling from there, refresh, and there is something like this. So I will just give it a margin top for the create chapter container, margin top of 10 pixels. I will refresh and click on create chapter, and it is better looking now. And the next thing that we are going to create is the boxes. So first I will go into the urls.py and create a new URL for that. Create box, and I will assign it to the views function create underscore box. I will give it a name of create box itself, and I'm not forgetting to put the comma this time. I will go into the chapter.html. Okay, before going to the chapter.html, we will be using icon buttons, and we will be using the icons from Font Awesome. To include that, we will need to go into the base.html. Also, I will go into my browser and search for CDN of Font Awesome, CDN Font Awesome. Then go into the CDN.js website and just copy this copy link tag, and just come in here into the link header head and paste it in here. Now we have successfully included the Font Awesome in our project. Now we will go into the chapter.html and create 3 new buttons, and this will be for 3 plus buttons, one for creating the instruction, then one for the code, and also one for the explanation. I will create a new button, and the class will be what to say, instruction button. I'll give it a class of instruction button. I'll give it an id of okay, id is not required, only class is required, and I will give it a on click. We'll create a new, we will access a javascript function. We will call a javascript function. It will be create box, and then we need to pass in an argument, the box type. Box type in this case is instruction, so we pass in instruction as the box type. Now we need to create an I tag inside this to show the plus icon for the button. So I tag inside this I, and what will be the class? We'll be using font awesome's class. So font awesome fa hyphen solid, it will be a solid plus sign, and again fa hyphen plus. With this we have a plus sign created as the button. Now we'll just copy this three times, and I will change this instruction button to code button, the class, and in here into explanation button. Now we need to give some HTML styling for this, and for that I will create 3 br tags, break tags in here to leave 3 lines br. Now I will give it some styling, custom styling. I will call access the style tag, and I will first give the styling to the instruction button. We want the position of the buttons to be fixed, that is, even though we scroll down, the button should be there itself, so that we can easily create without going up and down for creating and clicking on the button. So that's why we are giving it a fixed position. I will give it a padding of 10 pixel and 15 pixel, and background color will be set to light blue, because that's what is corresponding with our instructions box. And the text, the color of the text will be white, and I will set the border to none, that is, border is not, there is no border, and I want it to have a curvy border, so I will set border radius to 5 pixel. The more you do this, the more curvy the border will be. And when we hover our mouse on it, I want the cursor to be a pointer, it's a pointer finger will be shown, so that's why I set cursor to pointer. And I will give it a margin on the left, I will give a 10 pixel margin on the left, and the position is fixed because we are not allowed, it will not change its position, so that we can easily create. And because we want it to be shown on top of everything, even when we scroll down, we will set the z index to 999, so that it will be every time on the top of the screen itself, and the margin top will be set to 10 pixels. Now we want to make some small changes to the styling of the other two buttons, so I will just copy this button, copy that, paste it 2 more times, and the first time I will use code button. And then what all changes should I make? I should change the color to light green, because that's what's corresponding with our code box, light green. Then what all changes? Margin left will be 65 pixels this time, 65 pixels, the position will be fixed itself. And for the explanation button, the color will be light coral, because that's what corresponding with our danger color box of Bootstrap. And this time the margin left will be 120, and let me check it out. When we come here and refresh, okay, there is a problem because we haven't yet created the create note view. So I'll just create a new view in here, create underscore note, pass in request, and for now I will just pass. I'm just doing it so that no error comes. Go into the browser and refresh it. Okay, now there is an, okay, it's fixed. Go into the first itself. I think there is a problem in here. Create underscore note, create underscore box. We create the create box, and I will refresh it. Okay, now we have 3 buttons, but different many times. The reason why we have many buttons is because I forgot and put it inside the for loop. So just access this button, everything, take everything, Control X, cut it and go on top over the loop. And now when we click on refresh, we just have 3 buttons. Now we need to create the create box function, the JavaScript function, to create a form so that we can create the boxes. Before that, we'll create a new form for the same, for creating the boxes. So in here I will create a new form. The class will be form flow, which is a type of good looking form in the Bootstrap CSS. Method will be post, and I will give it an ID of create box container, and the action will be the create box URL, which we created in the urls.py create box. And then we want to obviously do the CSRF token, CSRF underscore token. Next thing, okay, there is a spelling mistake, CSRF underscore token. And then we want 3 hidden inputs this time, one for the note title, then for the chapter title, and also the box type. Then only we can create the box model. We'll create 3 hidden type inputs. Type will be hidden, and this time we will give it the name of note underscore title itself. Then the value will be the title of the note, so note dot title. Now we have one of the input hidden done. Then we want another one which is for the chapter title. Name will be chapter underscore title, and the value will be chapter dot title itself. Then again the last one, which is for the box type, I'll give the name to box underscore type itself, and then its ID will be box type input. So we will be filling this hidden input inside our create box function of JavaScript. So I will that's why to access this input I am giving it an ID of box type input. Okay, now that one is also created. Now we need to create the script tag in here. Okay, I think it's better to create everything outside this for loop. I will cut this out and create everything under this for loop. Now there is a small mistake in here. I gave in the create box instruction, it should be instructions, and for the second one it is code, and for the third one explanation. Now we will go down and create the script tag. Inside that we will be writing the JavaScript function. First we will create a variable called done and set it to false. Now I will go into the home.html and copy this function, create node function, and in the chapter.html I will paste it, and then I will have to make some changes to it. Change the name of the function to create box, and we need to pass in the box type, which type of box we are using, and here we want to append it to the create box container. Here also to the create box container, and here also to the create box container. Now we also need to set the value of this input to the button type, that this box type that we pass into the function. So we get that element using document.getElement by id, and the id of the element is box type input. So we take that and pass in, and we set its value to the box type variable that we pass in as the parameter. So I just gave a small styling. The create box container I gave margin of 20 pixel and width of 50%, and there is I think the description input, which is the second one. The description input I gave it an ID of description input, and for that also I gave a margin top and margin bottom of 10 pixels. Now come to the views.py and we will continue with the create box. First we will check if the request method is post. Now we get the note title using the request.post, and then let's check what the name of the input is. In here the name is note underscore title, so just copy that and paste it in here. Similarly we get all the other ones, chapter title using the chapter underscore title named input. Then we need the box type, box underscore type, and what is the name of that input? It's also a hidden one, it's box underscore type itself, so just pass in that. Now we want to get the title of the box, request.post, and I think we haven't changed its name in the chapter.html. The name is still note underscore title, it should be box underscore title. ആ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യപ്പോൾ വരാ. And the description input will be box underscore description. We will access this name box underscore title and paste it in here, and then we have box underscore content, right, because we gave that as the name of the model. In the models.py the field's name is box underscore content, I think, so I'll just change it to content, sorry for that. So box underscore content and paste it in here. Now we will check if all of these exists. If not, title and chapter title and box type. If all of these are not just empty strings, box title and also box content. If everything is present only, we will create the model. We will get the model using get object or 404, and then it's the note model, and what we want to filter it, we want to filter it with the note title. We'll get the model with the, we'll get the note with this note title, and also we need to get the chapter to create the box, because box content come under chapters. It's the chapter model, and the title of the chapter is, and the title of the chapter is chapter underscore title. Now we create a box object using box dot objects dot create box dot objects or create, and then it have a note field and we pass it as note. As a chapter field, it will be chapter. Then there is a box type field, it will be box type itself. There is a title field for box underscore title, and also there is a content field, it will be box underscore content. And because we are creating one, we also need to save the box, so box dot save, and after that we will redirect to that same page. Now if the request method is not post, also we need to redirect to the same page itself. In that case nothing will be created, but will be in the same page itself. Continue. When I refresh, click on this, and now we have a box created. We have all the three types of box getting created. Now we are going to implement the delete functionality. We want to have a button to delete the certain nodes, delete nodes and also chapters and boxes. First we will implement the delete node. So I will go into the urls.py and create a new URL called a delete node, and then I will assign it to a views function of delete underscore node. Again I will give it a name of delete node itself. Also don't forget to put the comma. Now go into the home.html, and then we will go on top, and inside each, this is what it is looking like. This is what it's looking like right now. We will put a delete button inside this card on the bottom right corner. So how to do that? We will go into the main class itself, to this deflex class, and then under this a tag, in here we will create a new div, and we will give it a class of button container, and inside that I will create a new form, and the action will be the delete node URL that we just created right now, delete node. And then one thing I forgot to do is, in the URLs it should have a primary key of string. The title of the node should be used to delete the node, because all the different nodes have different unique titles. We can actually use this title as the primary key. Now coming back to the home.html, because it have a primary key, we will give it the primary key also. Title will be equal to note.title. Now we have the title also. Then the method will be obviously post method, and the id will I'll just give it an id of, okay, id is not required right now, and then I will just close that form, and inside that, because we are using a form, we need csrf token, csrf underscore token, and I will create a button inside this. The type will be submit, because we are using a form, that's why we have to give the submit button. And then I want it to be a black color button, so I will give the bootstrap css button dark. It will give a black good looking button, and then I will give it an id of remove button, or delete button or remove button, nothing, doesn't matter what you gave the id, and then the label will be remove. So the label is remove. Now we'll give a small styling for this button. I will access the remove icon button and then give it a float of right, so that it will be in the right side of the card, and the margin I will give it to 10 pixel. So 10 pixel margin, and the float is set to right. Now we will create the delete note views function. Define delete underscore note. We need to pass in request, and because we have a primary key of title, we will pass in title also. Now we will get the note with that specific title. We will get the note model, and we have to filter it using the title. If the title is equal to title, we get that certain note. And if request, if you are using a post method, because we have given the method is equal to post while creating the form. If method is equal to post, then we will just delete that note. Just call note dot delete and nothing else. And then if that's case, we will return to the home page itself, or we will just call the return redirect to home and pass in home. With this, I think the function will be done. I'll just refresh, and we have remove button. I will remove this, and it is gone. Remove this, it is gone. Okay, the remove button for the remove note is working fine. Now we will delete the remove the chapters. So go to the urls.py and create a new URL for the delete chapter. Delete chapter, and I will, okay, again we want the primary key. Also the the chapter are also unique. Chapter title for certain under given note only, a chapter can have only a chapter should have a unique name. So it is also unique, so we can use the title itself as the primary key, and then the views function will be delete underscore chapter, and I will give it a name of delete chapter itself. I will just create the other one, which is the delete box also right now itself, so that we need not come into the urls.py again and again. Delete box. And because the delete in the same chapter itself, different boxes can have the same title, we cannot use the title as the primary key, because if you use the title as a primary key, which one will it delete? If 2 or 3 boxes have the same title, which one will it delete? So there is something else called id. Id is unique for every box, so we are using id. And then the views function is delete underscore box. So views.delete underscore box, then we will give it a name of delete box itself. Now we will come into the note.html and go down, and what we want is, okay, I will just create a views function first, two views function, and just pass, otherwise there will be an error. So delete underscore chapter, and this time we need to pass in the title, and I will just pass, and then delete box, delete underscore box. We need to pass in request and id, because id is our primary key. I will come in here and refresh. Okay, there is a problem. Okay, now it's fixed. I will go into the first note. There is an error right now. We have forgot again how many times I have forgotten to put comma. Now I will refresh it. Okay, now everything is working fine. Now what we want is, we want a button in here, a delete minus button in here for all of these, and when we click on that, the corresponding chapter will be deleted. So we are going to implement that. Go to the node.html, and then in the container class, under this chapter.title, what we are going to create a button. Okay, we are going to create a button, and the class will be icon button. We are creating a button with an icon, and then we are using, obviously we are using font awesome. It will be an a tag, and I will give it a class of fa solid, so it's a solid button, and the icon is minus, so we are using a minus icon. And then we will give it a href, that is redirect, because we are using an a tag. It's not action, but it's href, and it's to the delete chapter, obviously delete chapter, and then we need to pass in a primary key of title. Title will be equal to chapter.title. Okay, now our href is also done. I will just close that, and we are not giving any title because it's just an icon button, right? So we need not give any label for that. Now we need to give it some styling. I will just go into the home.html, into the chapter.html, and I will copy this styling of any one of those icon button, and I will paste in the node.html style tag. I am making some changes. Which did I give? I gave it an ID of icon button, I mean a class of icon button. So I will just access icon button, and then I will give the padding 3 pixels and also 10 pixels in here for the width and 3 for the height, and background color will be light blue. Then the color inside that will be white. Border will be none. Border radius 5 itself. Margin left, I am not give margin left will be just 10 pixels, not 120 pixels, and the position is not fixed, but we want the float to be right. That is, we want it to be on the right side of the list, so we set float to right. Now we will also use one more, give one more styling, and it's for the a tag. I will show you what it is, why we are doing that. And because our button inside it is an a tag, it will not be so nice. The color will not be white, because in here we gave the color of a tags to light coral, but we want it to be white. How to do that? We access the button first, and then inside that a. So the a tags inside the button. In here it's a button, and inside that it is an a tag. So we are accessing that, and we are setting the color to white. Okay. Now what should we do? We should create the other, but before creating that we will just check, and now we have something good looking. Now we need to create the views.py. I mean, you have to create the views function. So inside the delete chapter function, I will get the chapter will be equal to get object, or for we are getting the object, and it's the chapter model. We are filtering with it using the title. So the chapter with the certain title will be assigned to this chapter variable, and then we are going to get the title of the note. How? As the chapter model have a foreign key of note, we can access using chapter.note, and then the title of the note. The note model have a field called title, so we can access it like this, note.title. Now because we are not using forms, and we haven't specified the method is post method, we are as default using a get method. So if the request note method is equal to get, then we will just delete the chapter that we just got, and then we will redirect to the same page note, and then the title will be note title. This is why we got the title of the note, to redirect to that same page itself, and otherwise also we will just redirect to the same page itself. So I will just put it in here. So either way we will redirect to the same page, right? So we are just doing it once. Now I will just refresh and try to delete these, and we can successfully delete those. Now we are going to do the delete box. As we have already created the URL, we will come into the views.py, and okay, first we will create the HTML. I will show you what we are going to do. In here we will create a delete button in here, and for all of these we will have a delete button, and when we click on that, the box will be deleted. How to do that? It's not so hard. We will come into the chapter.html, and in here under this box.title we are going to create a button, and ID is remove button. Again we will just give remove button itself, and I will give it a class of button info, that is a light blue color, because our instructions box is light blue in color. We will give it the same color itself, and then inside that we want an a tag, and the ref will be the delete box URL. So URL of delete box, and then we have primary key of ID will be equal to box.id. Okay, now that is done, I will just close this a tag, and I will also give it a label of remove, because we are not using an icon button. Now I will just copy this and paste it under every one of this code, and also under this explanation, but the code is having a color of success or light green. So I will change this button's color to success or light green itself, and in here it is a danger or red color, so I will change it to danger. Now let me check whether it is showing properly, and when we refresh it, the button is in here. So we are going to give it a bit of styling. go on top of the chapter.html and inside the style tag just use the access the remove button, and then I will just give it a float of right so that it will be in the right side of the card. So when we refresh it, I think we have accessed it with wrong ID. Remove button is the ID button. Now I will refresh and we have the button in here. Now there is the color of it is not what is ideal. So what we'll do is the text color of this button is not ideal, so we'll have to make some more changes. I will just give it a black color itself. So I will access the a tag in here in the style section and set the text decoration to none to remove the underline and also the color to black, so the text color will be black. And I will refresh and we have much better looking item. Now we need to create the views.py to delete it. So in the delete box I will get the box is equal to, we are going to obviously get the object, and as it is the box model we pass in that as a first argument, and then we are going to get it using the id. So the box with the certain id will get, and then we will get the title of the chapter because it is used to redirect to the page. And because chapter is a foreign key field of the box model, we can access box.chapter, and then the chapter have a title field, so we can access that. Then we want the title of the note also, and it will be equal to box.note.title because box note is a foreign key model. Now again it's not a form and we haven't specified that the method is a post method, so the method will be get. So if request.method is get, then we will delete the box. Actually this if statement is not necessary because as default it will be a get request, but just so that it is more clear to you, I'm just doing it like that. And then we will redirect to the chapter page itself, to the exact same page. And for this we have two primary keys. One of them is the title and it will be note underscore title, and also we need to pass in the chapter's title. So chapter is equal to chapter underscore title. With this everything is working. I think everything will work fine. I will refresh and try to remove this, and it is removed. I will remove everything. Now we are going to implement the update. So we can update the notes, chapters and boxes. So there will be a button for that. First we will start with updating the note. So we will create a new URL. It will be update note, and we are not giving any primary key, and the function that we associate it in the views.py is update underscore note, and I will give it a name of update note itself. And then come into the home.html and we will create a button for the update. And where we want this button, when we look in here, I want a button in here in the card in this side. So we will go under this create note button and create a new button in there. Button we will give it a class of the same class, so it will be a dark color button, black color button dark, and I will give it an ID of update button. And when we click on that, we want to trigger a JavaScript function called update note, and we need to pass in the note's ID. We will pass in the ID of the note. And what will be the ID of the note? First we need to put in a single quote and then two brackets, inside that note.id. So we pass in the ID of the note as a parameter, and then I will give it a label of update. There will be a label called of update for the button. This is how it looks like. Now we will give a styling for the update button, and then I am going to just give it a float of left. So by default it will be on the left side, and a margin of 10 pixels just like we gave for the other button. Now we need to create a form where we can fill the title and also the description. I will just copy this one, the create note one, and I will change this URL to update note and also this ID to update note container. And under this CSRF token we need to give a hidden input, and it is representing the ID of the note. Input type will be hidden, and the name will be note id, and the id I will just give the same note id itself, because we want to fill the value using the JavaScript function. We want to give the value for this note id using JavaScript function. The reason why we need this id in the first place is because we to update us, we need to know which note we are updating, and we do it using the id. We filter it out using id. So we create a new function in here called update note, function update note, and we need to pass in what? The id of the note id. Now I'll just copy everything in here. If not done, only we are doing everything. I will paste it in here. Okay, this is what we have right now. Also I have to close this if statement. Now I need to make some small changes, I think so. Let me just check. We need to change this to update node container. I think that's the only change that we need to make. Update node container. And then now we'll give a small styling for this update node container in here. I will copy this create node container and paste in here and change this to update node container. Now we just need to do the views.py, create the view, but I forgot to put a comma in here. The views.py, I will create the update node, and because we don't have any primary key, we just need to pass in request and nothing else. Now we'll check if the request method is post, because we are using a form and we gave the method is for post. We will get the id of the node using the input which have the name of note id. So we are accessing the note id input, and then the updated input which we get from the newly created form. From that newly created form, when we come into the home, we get it from this one, and then we get the new description from the updated description from this one. So we come in here and request.post, and let me check what we gave it as the. So it's note underscore title. I will just change it to updated underscore note underscore title and updated underscore note underscore description, so that it's more straightforward. I will just pass in updated note title, and also we need to get the updated description, and it will be a request.post again, but this time we need to paste updated note underscore description. Now we are going to get the note with the id using the id note. We are going to update the note. We are not going to assign it to any variable, because we are just updating in the same line itself. Note.objects.filter, we are filtering a note and using the id, and we are going to get the note with this note id, and we are going to update it. So dot update to update it, and what all are the now we need to fill in all the fields. One of the field for the note is the updated title, so the title will be set to updated title, description to updated description, and then yeah, that's it for this one. Now we'll redirect to the home page, return redirect into the home page. Now let's check whether it works or not. If I refresh, okay, the update button is in here, so we need to make some changes. It's the problem with our HTML code. Let me come into the home.html, and we gave the button inside this one. Where is our button? Okay, I put it in here. It was a mistake. I'll just cut this, Ctrl X, and it should be under this remove button. Inside this button container we paste that. Okay, now there is a problem because I think I haven't closed the button tag. Okay, now it's fixed. Come in here and I will refresh. We have an update function, update button, and then I will update the title, and we don't have a submit button right now. Why is it? We'll come into the home.html. It's been appended to the update note. It was a typo. We'll refresh it and update this one. Now also there is no button. Let me refresh it properly. Okay, now there is a button and I click on submit, and there is a problem right now. Updated underscore note underscore title, and again it was a problem. I just changed it of the create note function. Always happens to me, even while I was creating the course it happened. Change it to this one. Inside the update note function we are going to change the name, updated underscore note underscore description. And now when we refresh, I think everything will be fixed. Again nothing is fixed. Go back and try to submit it again. Again there is an error. It's in the update note function itself, updated note, and in here it is also updated note itself. I will copy this updated underscore note underscore title and paste in here. I will come in here and copy this updated note description, paste in here, refresh. Okay, let me just close this and run the server again. I will refresh it. Again there is an error. Let me just access it the other way using request.post.get, and then inside the parentheses I will put it. Let me try if it works or not. And when I refresh, now it is updated underscore note underscore description. So I will just use this syntax this time. Refresh, and now field ID accepted but got a string. Why? It's a mistake in here, I think. Or we haven't gave the value. We haven't gave the value for the note ID in here. Document.get element by ID. We will get the element, which one? We will get this note ID, this element, and then we will set its value to note underscore note ID. And now I think everything will be working fine. Update this, and now it is updated. We can update this one also, and this one is also updated. So the update note is working right now. Now we will create the update chapter and also the update box. So go to the urls.py and create new URLs. I just copy this and paste 2 times and change this to update chapter and update box. In here the function will also be changed, update underscore chapter, update underscore box. Name also change it. Because we are doing that, we will need to create the views function right now itself. Update underscore chapter request only we need to pass in, and then I will just pass it for now, and then update box also I will pass it for now. Now come to the note.html, and this time we will create the update chapter. First we need to create a button, and let me demonstrate where we want the button. We want a button in here. Okay, why is it icon button not showing? Okay, now it's showing. Now we want the update button in here, just besides this minus button. So where did we create the minus button? We created it under the title. We will create the other one also here itself. Under this one we will create a new button, and its ID will be an icon button. it should be the id itself, not class. Id will be icon button, and I will give it a class of fa solid, that is font awesome solid, and we are going to give it the icon of a pen icon, and then when we click on that, will trigger a JavaScript function. On click, it will be update chapter function. We need to pass in the id of the chapter. So inside single quotes, use 2 curly braces, and then chapter dot id. We are accessing it using the id, and then close that tag. Okay, now we have created that. Now we also just give it some styling for the icon button. Just copy the styling for this icon button class, just change it to the icon button id, and the float will be right itself, margin left is 10. What should we change? We just need to change this padding. I will give it a padding for the y axis 7. Now let me just check it out, refresh, and we have good looking items. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a form to fill out. So I will just copy the form itself, the create chapter form, and change this id to update chapter container, and also the URL to update chapter. Now this time we have 2 hidden fields. One of them is the note.title itself, then we need the id of the chapter. So I will just give it a name of chapter id, and the value will be nothing. We are not giving value in here, we will be giving it inside the JavaScript function, but we will give it an id of chapter id itself, chapter id. Now we will create the update chapter function. So just copy this create chapter function, copy that and put it in, paste. This time we will change the name of the function to update chapter. And what all changes should we make? We need to append it to the update chapter container, not the create chapter container. And I think that's the only thing that we need to change, and we'll change this to updated underscore chapter title. Then I will just give a styling for the update chapter container. I will copy the styling for this create chapter container itself and paste it in here. Then I will change this to update chapter container. Now we need to implement the views function. Okay, let me try if the form is created when we click on this. Okay, the form is created. Now we will go into the views.py and just implement the update chapter function. Again, we want to check if the request method is post. If it is post, then we will get the chapter id using the input request.post, and the chapter id is the name of the input. Then we get the chapter using the chapter id. Chapter is equal to, we are getting object or 404, and then we need to first pass in the model, so the chapter model, and we are going to filter it using the id. So id is equal to chapter id. We get the chapter. Now we want to get the title of the note using the chapter itself. It is equal to chapter dot note dot title, because obviously chapter note is a foreign key field in the chapter model. Now we are going to get the chapter model, chapter dot objects. We are going to filter using the id. We are going to get the chapter with the id of chapter id variable, and then we are going to call the update function on it. Then we need to fill in all the fields. The only field that we need to fill in is the title, and it is equal to updated chapter title. So I will just, we haven't yet got the updated chapter title, right? We need to get that updated underscore title. We'll just give updated underscore title, and it will be equal to request dot post, and we'll just use this dot get syntax so that we can make sure that there is no error. And then the name of the field, let me come into the node.html, and the name of the field is updated underscore chapter underscore title. I will come into the views.py and paste it in there. So updated title is equal to that one, and we'll set the title is equal to updated title. And I think that's enough. Now we'll just redirect to the note page itself. Return redirect to the note page, and then the title will be equal to note.title, note underscore title, that is the primary key. come here and refresh, and I'll try to change the name of this xw. Okay, when we click on that, we go there. I'll change to something a small one. Now field accepted number but got id. Again I did the same error, just like we made it in the made it for the home.html. We forgot to give the value for the id, so I'll just copy that from home.html and come in here and give it the id. Give it the value. This time we are accessing the chapter id input using the id, and it will be equal to chapter id. Okay, I think there is no variable called chapter id because we haven't passed in the chapter id. So we need to pass in chapter id. It will be equal to chapter id. Now let me check if it works or not. I will refresh it using Ctrl Shift R, try to change this, and now it is working fine. Now the next thing that we need to change is to update is the box. Suppose we have something like this, we need an update button in here, just besides this remove button. You create all three types of boxes. We need an update button in here. So we will go into, okay, we have already created the URL, so now we will go into the chapter.html, and we'll come under here, and beside this remove button we want the button, so we will create a new button. Just under that I will create a button, and I will give it an id of update button. The class will be a light blue color button for the instruction, so button info, and when we click on that, I want to call a JavaScript function called update box. Then we need to pass in the box id, so inside single quotes 2 curly braces box.id. With this we can access that node, and because we are not using an icon button, we need to give it a label. I will give it a label of update. So this is what we have now. Now I will give it a styling. I will give a styling for this update button. I will access the using it id update hyphen button, and then the float will be right itself. We want it on the right side of the card, and then the color of the text will be black. Now go down and create a new form. I'll just copy this form and paste, and I think we need one more id, because the box id box type doesn't matter, because we already know what the type of the box is. We are not creating new one, so the box type doesn't matter. I'll just change it to the box id. The id will also be changed to box id. Now just change this the id of this main form to update box container, and I will give it a styling for this update node container. One thing I forgot to do is we need to change this create box to update box. Now come on top and just give the styling for the update box container, and I will give the same styling as the create box container. Just copy the two and paste it inside here. Now we need to create the JavaScript function. I will just copy the same function, this create box function, paste, and this time we need to take in the box id, not box type, and I will change the name of the function. The name of the function should be update box. Now what all should we change? We will change the set attribute name to updated underscore box title, then the box content to updated underscore box content, and then we need to change the container to which we are appending it. It should be update box container, not create box container. And we need to give the id, set the id. I will remove this box type item, and this time we want to set the value for the box id input, and the value is box id itself that we pass in to the function. I will go into the let me check if everything is working fine. Refresh, we have the update button, so we need to do it for the other two types of boxes as well. So I will just copy this one. Where is it? Yeah, this one. Come under in here and paste. This time I will change the color to button success, that is light green color, and then for the explanation it will be danger or red color. Button danger. and when we refresh it, we have something like this. When we click on this update button, a form is created, but when we just do it, nothing is done because update box didn't return HTTP response object. We'll go into the views.py and implement the update box function. And then how to do that? We will check if the request method is post. If request.method is equal to post, then we will what we'll do, we'll check if the request.method is post because we are using a form. If it is post, then we will get the box id. Box id will be equal to request.post and then the name of the input, which is box id itself. Then we want to get this the box will be equal to get object of 404. We are getting the box model, so passing box model as the first argument, and then the id of the box model will be box id. So we are getting the box. Then we want to get the chapter title and also the note title. The chapter title will be chapter underscore title is equal to box dot chapter dot get. We can access box dot chapter because chapter is a foreign key. Box dot chapter dot title, and then we need the note underscore title also. It will be equal to box dot note dot title. Then we want to get the value in the updated box, updated values, right? So updated title is equal to we will get it using request dot post dot get syntax, so that there is no error. Can make sure that there is no error. And when we come into the chapter.html, what is the name of the one? It is updated underscore box underscore title. I will come into here and paste, and I will just copy this and change this to updated content, and again this one also updated box content. Now we are getting both of them. Yenda ഇപ്പൊ തീരുടോ, എടുത്ത് പോയിക്കോ. ഓ നീ പോടുന്ന്. Whenever we get that, now we need to get the certain box object and update it. So box dot objects dot filter, we are filtering it using the id. The id should be equal to box id. We filter it, I think, yeah, we filter it and then call the update function on it, and then we need to pass in all the arguments. What all should we pass in? We need to pass in the title and also the content. So the title is equal to updated content, and then the description, the content is equal to updated content. I think with this everything will be working, and then in the end we will redirect to the chapter page, the same page itself. Instead that we are just refreshing, and then we need to pass in the title as the first primary key, and it is note underscore title, and then the chapter, the what we need to pass in is chapter underscore title. It is, I think everything will be working. I will try to first I need to refresh it, and then I will try to update this blue one. Just give it a title of something blue, and it's not changing. Why is it not changing? Let me come in here, and there is some sort of problem. What is it? In here we give the title in updated content. It should be updated title, and refresh it. I think it have changed already because the title and the content is the same. Okay, let me update this again and set the title to blue or something, and refresh it, and it is changing successfully. Now we are going to make our website responsive. That is, we want the app to look good in our mobile phones also. So how to do that? First of all, I will show you how to run the app or how to run the website on your phone. What you have to do is you have to go into the terminal and type ipconfig, and just copy this IPv4 address 192.168 and just paste it as a string inside this allowed hosts in the settings.py. And now uh, if you just go into if we go into the terminal and run the server using that IP address, how to do python manage.py run server and then the IP address 192.168.1.4 and then colon 8000, which is the port that Django uses. Just run that, and now if you come to your phone and just type in that URL 192.168.1.4 and then colon 8000. If you just type that, okay, I just messed it up, 192.168.1.4 I think, colon 8000, and click on enter, we can see that we are redirected to that page. Now we are going to make this app responsive. First I will go into the browser and refresh it. Okay, we are not actually running on the local host, so again we should put it in here also. Now click Ctrl Shift I and we are going to go into this view just like a mobile phone. Now we will give the styling based on this. Now the width is 404. If we can check if the width is less than 410, then we can give a separate styling. First we will give it to the home page. In the home page, what you have to do is you have to access media and then inside brackets maximum width 410 pixels. So if the maximum width of the screen is less than 410 pixel, then we will give some other stylings. First I will just update the give the styling for this update node container, and I will remove this margin, and the width will be set to 90%. Now we will do the same thing for the create node container also. I will change the ID to create node. Now we have this is our main card. I will just give it an ID of main, and then access that ID. I will give align items to the center, then display will be set to flex, and also justify content will set it to center. Refresh, we have something like this, which is much better looking. Now we'll also need to change the location of this button. I will just try to reduce this one. I'll come in here and access this create node button. I will give it a margin left of 10 pixels. Okay, not 10 pixels, 20 pixels. This is how our phone is actually. So I think the phone's width is somewhat like this, and now it is having a good one. We click on this create node button, we have a form something like this, and then when we I will just refresh it and click on this update button, and we have the same thing. Now we want to make some changes in this page, so I will just go into somewhere where we have some chapters. In this page I don't think we have much changes to make. I think I'm satisfied with this, so I'm not making any changes. So I'm satisfied with this. I'm not going to make any changes for this, but in here I think we have to make some changes. When we click on this button, the form is only 50%, so we need to change the size of the form. Just copy this, both of these. Also we will copy this. I'll just copy everything and go into the chapter.html. In the style tag I will add it, copy that and remove. We only need this update box container and update create box container. I will come in here and refresh, click on this update, we have full one, and when we click on this create also we have something like this. And this is what we have now. Only the what we are going to implement next is only the admin can update, remove or create note update. Only the admin can create new chapters, and also only the admin can delete and update these chapters and also create notes. Now that's what we are going to do next. How to do that? We'll come into the views.py, and in all of the views that renders an HTML file, we will create a new variable. So I will go into the home page and we'll create a variable called is super user. That is, if the user is a super user or the admin. And how to check that? We use request dot user dot is underscore super user. So this will check whether we are a super user, and then I will send that variable along with the other variables also. So is super user, and then send it. Okay, this is the syntax. I will just copy this line and paste it for the note and also the chapter, because these one are the views that renders an HTML file, and then we need to send the variables to the HTML file, HTML also. We are pasting it inside these brackets, and now we have sent that. Now we need to go into the home.html, and where do we have this button? We want to restrict, we don't want to show this button to someone who is not a super user. So in here I will create an if statement, if is underscore super user. If is underscore super user, then I will show this. I will copy this line and paste wherever I want, and we have these delete buttons which we should show only to the super user, and I think that's it. Now we will need to end the if statement, because we are using an if statement, we need to end it also. Just copy the end if, and in here I will paste. Now if I come here into the home page, I don't have something like this. The reason is, if I go to the admin page, I am not logged in. If I have logged in, then I can see it, okay, which we will test last. Now we need to remove this button also. How to do that? We'll go into the, I just copy this if is super user, go into the note.html, and then these plus buttons should be, okay, it's not in this file. Where are the buttons? Yeah, one of the buttons is in here. So I will put the condition in there, if is super user, and also we need to put it for this create chapter, and then we will end the div, end the if statement, and in here also end the if statement. Now let's check what the result is, and now we cannot see that. Now I go in here and I want to remove all these 3 buttons and also this update and remove. I will just copy this if is super user, come into the chapter.html, and on top of these buttons I will paste, and in here I will paste the other one. It's not in here, it should be end if there, and then the update and the remove button I will paste it in here. Again, for all of these we need to paste the same thing, all the 3 different types of boxes, and then we also need to end the if statement, end if. Okay, if I put it in here, and where is the button ending? It's ending in here, and then in here it's ending, and also in here. Now let's refresh, and now we have nothing is shown. Now let us try to log in and see if anything is shown. I will just log in with the same username and password that we created the admin with, and then refresh, and we can see all the buttons. Now one thing that I forgot to do, I thought of doing it, but I forgot it. I will create a button called chapter list in here. It's in the chapter page, so we go under here, we'll put it above the buttons, I think. Okay, we'll put it above the buttons, below the buttons. I'll put it in here, and it will be an a tag, and where we will redirect to when we click on that, we'll redirect it to the note page. The primary key of title will be equal to note.title. Okay, this is what we have right now, and we need to close this one, and I will give it a label of chapter list if we have sent the, okay, now I will refresh it. When I click on that, we are going to that page, but I will give it some styling. I will change the class to button primary, so we are giving a button, and then also I will just give it an ID of link something, list chapter, and I will give it a small styling in here, list chapter, margin of 10 pixels. Refresh it and we have something like this. When we click on this, we go into this page. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video soon.